Hi, this is Debbie House. Welcome to TouchPoints TV. I am Debbie House again, Editor-in-Chief of Retail TouchPoints, and I'm here today with Nick Ciminillo, who is the Senior Director of Solution Consulting for Oracle Retail. Welcome to you, Nick.
Oh, thanks, Deb. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us today. I just want to let everybody know that this recording is part of a three-part series of interviews with Oracle Retail executives that'll be appearing on TouchPoints TV. So look for all three parts of the series. So today we're going to talk with Nick about actionable insights related to planning optimization specifically. So I have a couple of questions for you, Nick, and I think I'll just jump right into them.
Okay, great.
Great. So the first one is a little lengthy. Here we go. The convergence of multi-channel data in an increasingly demanding consumer marketplace has left retailers with the mountainous task of collecting and analyzing big data and then turning it into actionable insights. So what are the steps retailers must take in order to prepare their businesses to handle this task?
Yeah, that's interesting, and it's a good question, and you're right. There's a big challenge because the average retailer collecting about 90% more data today than they were 2 years ago. So many retailers are unprepared to turn this data into actual insights across all three or multiple channels. So here are the steps that I would advise retailers to think about in order to handle this task. First, obviously, I would start with gathering the data from the multiple channels and putting them into a common platform, an enterprise platform. In that platform, though, I would make sure that it was scalable. Scalable so that data can be processed in an accurate and timely manner. So scalability is not only based on the data that you have today, but the data that you're going to have when you go into the future, because data continues to grow and there's more and more good data out there that retailers can leverage to turn into insights. So also in terms of scalability, I would think about the processing time that it takes in order for the optimization algorithms to turn through that data, but then to the user so they can action against those. So you want to make sure that you have speed in that platform in order to the users to take action right away. Secondly, what I would say is I would look at integration. So not only integration of the data, but also the people and the processes. So that data is that you want the processes and the answers and results from one step in the process to naturally come into the next step in the process, so you can continue to have integration and reconciliation of the plans as you move through it. You don't want your IT team focused on managing those point-to-point integrations, interfaces. You want to free them up so they can do other value-added things. So that's the other thing that I would look for, as well as finally and last is really looking at your people and your processes. And what we're seeing are buying and planning organizations, instead of being assigned to silos of channels, but really across all channels. So taking classifications of businesses and categories of businesses and planning those classifications and categories across all of your channels of business. So this will give a retailer one view of the customer and one view of inventory across all those channels. And I think, Deb, if you start there as a retailer, those are a couple things that will put yourself on a good path for creating a competitive advantage.
All right, terrific, thanks. And so are there specific business processes that retailers should think about addressing first when they're just getting into this process? Do they want to think about looking at merchandise planning first, or pricing, or any other types of processes?
Yeah, and that's a good question, because we could ask that at some point during every conversation that we have with a retailer. But most retailers understand, and they know, and they have a pretty good idea of where the benefits lie within the organization based off of the maturity of their business process, the maturity of the tools that they have in place, how they want to align with the corporate strategy. But we do have a tool and a process in place to help them understand and help guide them through that process. So what we do is we do have a series of interviews that we go through. We call it a discovery insight process, where we'll speak with the executives all the way through the process of the IT group and staff to actually the users who are managing the processes within the retail organization. Before we even do that, what we'll do is we'll benchmark the retailer against their peers looking at their income statement, their balance sheet. So look at things like sales. Are they gaining market share? Are they losing market share? And then what's the executives, what are their strategies around growing top line sales? So we'll look at those things as well as SG&A, again, aligning with the executive strategy, and then inventory productivity and benchmarking them against their peers. So we'll use that when we go through this discovery process to really dig into processes where we think can affect the income statement and the balance sheet. And then we'll work together based on a roadmap, looking at the different business processes, determining the type of value we think we can bring to the business and how it affects their income statement, the balance sheet, and we'll work with them on phasing that roadmap across time.
All right, great. So can you talk any more specifically about benefits or ROIs that retailers can expect as they go through this process?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in some implementations and some solutions, the benefits are harder to quantify than others. But we do have tools in place where we do come back after a go-live situation, and we'll audit the benefits with the retailer once they do go live. So we do have solutions that are like markdown optimization. So retailers with short life cycle items. So what's the optimal price point by week to maximize profitability based on an out-of-stock date? And we have retailers getting benefits anywhere from 2 to 9% on inventory turn improvement. We see gross margin anywhere from 1% to 12% improvement in gross margin. And then there are other retailers who are really size-intensive businesses, where we look at size and pack optimization, and we've seen improvements in residual sizes going anywhere from 30% residual sizes left over at the end of the season down to about 10%. We've seen gross margin improvements of up to 5%. So we have a whole list of benefits associated with each one of the processes around merchandise financial planning, allocation, assortment planning, replenishment optimization, space optimization, and so forth.
All right, and are you able to share any real-world retailer examples of some of your customers who you think have performed particularly well or have gone through this process successfully?
Yeah, I mean, we have a number of retailers that are achieving these goals successfully. But, just to talk about a few, Nordstrom uses our platform to plan and optimize across 6 different selling channels, as an example. And when we first started the journey with them, they had an opportunity around days of supply when they benchmarked themselves against the industry and their competitors. So they started with a couple of actual insights around replenishment optimization, getting the optimal replenishment parameter settings to improve inventory productivity, and then markdown optimization as well. And they use those implementation, that ROI, to fund other projects as they continue to roll out. Another retailer is Warnaco. So they plan their owned and operated stores and their wholesale accounts around the globe. And they started at a different approach. They're a very size-intensive business, so they started with size and pack optimization first to get the benefit there. Then they moved to merchandise financial planning at the location, so they're planning their wholesale accounts around the globe as well as their retail stores. Then they moved to assortment planning. So you look at that complexity, the big data, the multi-channel, and then now you layer in currencies and global currencies, and they're planning 143 currencies linked to daily currency fluctuations. So they're creating a competitive advantage through the platform. Another retailer is Talbot's, and Talbot's has their multi-channel stores. So they have upscale stores, they have upscale outlets, they have surplus outlets, they have catalog, they have online their online stores as well. And they're taking this journey of creating a competitive advantage with our platform, and they're doing it in a different approach. They started with allocation first, and then they moved to store clustering, so being able to group the stores to make common decisions based on optimized store clusters. Then they went to size and pack because they're a size-intensive business as well. Then they went to MFP, and now they're localizing assortment plans. So that's just an example of some of the retailers that are leveraging the power of the platform to create a competitive advantage. And it goes back to what you said in the beginning, Deb, and that is that this is a big data challenge, right? It's across multiple channels, and it's about adding actual insights to create that competitive advantage. And we're seeing this all starts with the right platform.
Right, and those are great examples of different companies and their different goals and strategies, and why there isn't just a one answer to my question about, where do you start?
You're exactly right.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it. And I want to thank all of our viewers on TouchPoints TV, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.